Thank you for having me back. Very happy to be here. Nice to see a good turnout today. Really excited for that. It has been a challenging past month for energies with the moons, portals, and everything going on the other side. This past year has been a struggle for me personally, where I went through a divorce, and I'm now on the other side of that. And I'm very grateful that I had my partner I was in a relationship with for 20 years. I'm very grateful for the experience that I had with her. It did teach me a lot, and I realized that you either grow together or grow apart. It sounds very cliche, but it is in fact true. Who we are in the beginning of a journey is completely different than who we are at the end of it. That is for sure. The experiences that we have forge who we are. So I wrote a poem kind of in reflection of that. It's called Licking the Wounds. I brought my broken heart home in a cardboard box just the other day, because out of all the other things that I own, none is more important than this. I brought my broken heart home to a little white house that was set back on the landscape of a quaint little farm. A farm where I found the magic in and of its own self. And here I shall lie and wait. I brought my broken heart home to show all the horses, the cows, and the pigs. They all smiled and said, "Yes, we can heal this too." Then the hawk flew overhead. I stood in its shadow on a sun-filled day. At the little white house on a magic farm, I'll wait here to finally heal, and I will watch to see if I'm able to come up for air. I want to thank you for showing up today, and thank you for showing up for yourselves. The fact that you're here says a lot about who you are. There are a lot of people who woke up this morning and opted to do nothing. And that's a choice, just like love is a choice. With that said, I want you to think about the path that you're on, the spiritual path. What is that journey about? Who are you in this world right now? To this point, I see people before me who have the courage to think a little bit differently. You are sitting in a room connected to a small group of people, opposed to a football stadium filled with 20,000 people. And I ask you, what takes more courage? Ask yourself that. The spiritual path is not an easy one. There are ups and downs, there are dark nights of the soul to which you finally surrender and come back to your light. How and when you approach your spiritual journey is entirely up to you. All I can tell you is that the more difficult the journey, the greater the reward, and it is all about soul. My personal journey has had its moments like everyone else. As a person, I've always been looking to God and chasing spirit for the answers. And when those answers finally came, it was not what I expected. Not at all. The job I was given by Spirit was to reach into the darkness, to walk through the shadows, and bring the darker things to the light. There were times when I was fighting through the fear and the agony of what I was seeing, and it seemed impossible for me to overcome. But the one thing that carried me through all of that darkness was faith in a higher power. When I was in college, my parents had sent me to a psychologist to be treated for depression. And after the traumatic childhood that I had, it was no mystery where any of that came from. It was my therapist that first taught me how to meditate, and me being me, I had to take it to another level and push it to somewhere else that was beyond just meditating. And I was searching and looking for the experience of having an out-of-body experience, and I eventually did achieve that. And the things that I uncovered that were part of my journey from other lifetimes just exploded into this reality. And I had to dive into books and read book after book after book to figure out what all these things were that I was seeing. And for decades I've pondered those things that were shown to me, and it's always led me back to one thing, is asking God why. Fast forward to 2019, I'm standing in New York City in line to get coffee, and a woman I catch out of the corner of my eye on the other side is standing next to me, and she's burnt, smoking, like she had just walked through the fire. She was a soul that was left over and trapped here from 9/11. I knew what I had to do, and I knew where to do it, so I made my way downtown to the 9/11 memorial, and I went there to cross her soul over. And as I stood there and held space for her, Mother Teresa showed up to help me. And I looked across the street, and I saw hundreds of souls walking towards me. Out of the buildings, out of the subways, from all directions. And I did what my purpose was. I sent them back to where they needed to go. It was just recently that I was taking the train home from New York City, and I had a similar experience where I looked at the seat over from me, and there was a departed businessman, and he was riding the train, except he was dead. Back and forth to New York City like he always had every morning. And I tried to ignore it, let it go, and Spirit kept tugging me back to this guy. And finally I'm like, okay, we'll cross him over. And he too was a soul that was stuck here from 9/11. Here's the point I'm trying to make in all of this. When you find yourself in a dark space with dark things, you need to start to feel before you judge. Not everything you see will be the truth. Not every dark thing you come across in the spirit world will be bad. Don't judge the things by first sight. Learn to feel what your body says. Your instinct is much stronger than you realize. Everyone here has a gift. It may be small or it may be huge, but it is most certainly a responsibility to share that with the world and to give that expression back to other human beings so they can start to see the light again.